So I am absolutely in the autumn fall mood. It's in full swing in my house, and we decided to pick out pumpkins for the season. I also decided to make my house smell festive with some cinnamon pine cones, and the smell of cinnamon reminds me of apples. So I decided to grab some Granny Smith apples and store-bought pie crust, not for an apple pie, but for apple dumplings. So I'm just going to clean my apples and let them soak in cold water and vinegar and clean them up. And then I'm going to start prepping ingredients to show you how to make these wonderful apple dumplings. So first I'm going to peel and core the apples. I'm going to core it first. I'm actually going to use this kitchen tool that I use for fresh young coconuts so I can drink the fresh juice or the water, the coconut water. But this works as an apple corer. I don't have one, but like I said, I have this nifty tool that's definitely going to work. You can also use something like a paring knife and just carefully remove the center of the apple. Here I'm going to create a cinnamon sugar mixture with 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1½ teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and a pinch of salt. And just give that a mix. In a small sauce pot, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup or packed cup of light brown sugar, and 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. And I'm just going to combine that, let that warm through, let the brown sugar dissolve in the water, and bring it up to a simmer. I'm going to let this simmer for a couple of minutes and shut off the heat. And while the heat is off, I'm going to add 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. That might sound like a lot, but it's probably going to evaporate a little bit in this warm syrup and then when it bakes. Here I have my thawed pie crust, and as you can see, it is broken to pieces. I mean, that's what you run the risk of that buying store-bought pie crust in a box. So I'm just going to unroll this and then do my best to just patch it all up together. And you totally can do that. Now, if you make your own homemade pie crust, the same rule applies. If it kind of cracks and moves around, you can just form it into a dough ball and roll it out again. So I've pressed all of the little cracks together. I'm going to lightly sprinkle with flour on one side, and then I'm going to place that plastic wrap that it came in on top. I'm going to carefully and gingerly give it a flip because this dough is thawed. It still has a chill to it, but it's getting soft the more that I work with it. Flip it over, and I'm just going to make sure all the seams are pressed together, lightly dust with flour. And now I'm going to cut it into 4 sections or quadrants. And each piece of this pie dough is going to enclose and cover one of my apples. So here I have a small baking dish, and I'm going to take my first quadrant here, and I'm going to sprinkle on some of that cinnamon sugar onto the pie dough here. Now I'm going to place my apple, and in the center of the apple, I'm going to sprinkle on more of my cinnamon sugar mix. Probably in all, per section or per apple, I'm going to use like a tablespoon of this mixture. Now with a small little dollop of butter, I'm going to add it to the center, and now I'm going to carefully enclose it. The dough is thawed enough where I can sort of patch it up, move it, and shape it around the apple. And it also helps if you're working with drier apples. I used paper towels just to dry them up a bit on the exterior. And now I'm just going to repeat the process for my other 3 apples. Now I'm going to put these in my refrigerator for 30 minutes to chill. When making this recipe, you'll want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. My oven is preheated and my pie dough has chilled, or the apple and pie dough. So now I'm going to pour over that syrup, and it's still warm. I had it on the stove and it still is warm, so I'm going to pour a little bit on top of it. And now I'm going to add around 4 fluid ounces or a half cup of this lemon lime soda to the top. This is going to give a nice crispy texture to the exterior. I'm also going to sprinkle on some more of that cinnamon sugar mix, and this is going to bake in my oven for at least 35 to 40 minutes. Now you can check the center of your apple dumplings for your desired texture. Some people like a firm cooked apple, some like it a little bit mushy. It's up to you. But for sure, you'll want to bake it at least for 40 minutes or until you see the pie crust done and golden brown. So I've removed it from the oven. So yeah, this was the one that I actually poked, so I kind of cracked the pie crust. But it smells amazing. I'm gonna let it set for maybe like 10 minutes if my family will let me, and I'll scoop one out for you. Okay, so you can serve this with whipping cream or heavy cream. I know I have some people in my family that like to serve this in a bowl with maybe a half cup of heavy whipping cream, whipped cream, ice cream. It's great. Just this apple dumpling with a hot cup of coffee, it's just perfect. I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it. And thanks for watching.